welcome back to IMATS Live, the International Makeup Artist Trade Show from New York City. We are joined here with two amazing makeup effects artists. I'm kind of beside myself that I'm getting to speak to these two people. So it's Mr. Mike Marino and Mr. Mike Fontaine. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
How are you doing?
So tell me, you guys are both amazing makeup effects artists. Some of the things you've done are Night at the Museum, of course, Black Swan, The Wrestler, number three, number three, Night at the Museum, Black Swan, which was some of my favorite work ever. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
And Secret Life of Walter Mitty, which I also enjoyed. You work a lot with Ben Stiller. So do you guys work together a whole bunch?
Yeah, we do, all the time. I think for the last 5 years or so.
Yeah, about 5 or 6 years.
And you have a company together, is that correct?
Yeah. It's called Prosthetic Renaissance.
Prosthetic Renaissance.
Mike owns the company, and I do a lot of art directing and sculpting and design.
Mike's the
work
man.
with Mike.
Super talented guy.
Awesome.
Thank you.
We actually we knew each other via email when we were a lot younger. Right? Mike was way younger. And,
like 12.
Seriously?
Pretty much. And we finally met when Rick Baker had done his Mac demo and he painted his face all crazy.
Oh, I was there.
Oh, you were there?
I totally was there.
Right.
He painted
That was
himself
amazing.
up like
so
a, what do you call
like a Famous
those
Monsters thing.
Yeah, the
Right.
Famous Monsters.
Yeah, that was so
awesome.
cool, you know. And then I finally met Mike, who was, you know, kid from Massachusetts, visiting New York, and we met and we chatted, and he came to visit the studio, and we were working on updating a little section of the Dick Smith course and his basic course. And Mike was, I think, originally supposed to stay there for a couple weeks, and
Like 2 weeks.
2 weeks,
And
and
it's
then it just
going on 6
still there.
years.
It's 6 years going. So
Wow.
so we like working with each other. You know, I'm, you know, at work pretty intense as far as, you know, what I want to see and do, and Mike is the same way, and we're always trying to push each other and do as good of work as we can.
Well, Michael Key, who was just with us right before you guys came on, was telling us about you, that you grew up coming to IMATS from like 9 years old. Is that right?
Yeah, that was huge for me. Dick Smith actually talked my parents into bringing me out to LA when I was
Personally.
about 10. Yeah, he said, you know, he really should go to this trade show. And right when I came in, I met artists like Kevin Haney and Jordi Ushell, and that was huge for me. And the fact that Mike also was a protege of Dick Smith, even though we didn't know each other for many years. Once we met, you know, we connected and immediately understood where we were coming from through him. So I feel like that's why we work so well together now, because we're
The same
doing
training
very
grounds.
much.
Yeah. And tell me about that. I mean, that's one thing I was going to ask you about, is being a protege of Dick Smith, the godfather of all of makeup, anything makeup effects. How do you get to be a protege of Dick Smith? How does that happen?
Oh, geez, I think our stories are fairly similar. I wrote him a letter. I was always a fan, and wrote him a letter and sent my portfolio off when I was, you know, a teenager. And he wrote me back. You know, he wrote me a postcard back and said, I always remember what he said. It was, thank you for the extensive portfolio. Please give me a call anytime except dinner.
Wow.
5:30 to 6:30.
Really?
No, 6:30 to 7:30. All the best, Dick. You know, so that was postcard, and I was like freaking out.
I mean, who does
I
that?
got it.
No
no,
one.
I mean,
It's
like,
him
That's
as
just the
busy as he
type
was.
of person he was.
Exactly.
And I think that's no secret that he just put himself out there to young people, and
that's why he
we're
is
lucky.
the godfather. I mean, he
Very
helped us
true.
all,
best.
you know?
I mean, if you think about the caliber of talent he was, and you know, such a influence on so many people,
Right.
to take the time to write a little kid, you know, who like writing you a letter, and then talk to him on the phone,
And to say,
all
contact
that.
me, you
It's
know?
crazy, you know, and it was such an amazing quality that he had to want to communicate and help younger people, that you know, we're perfect examples of that. You know, his legacy, I guess, moving forward.
Yes.
And you know, we still talk about, like, what would Dick do here? You know, what would he do? You know, what would we do to change?
pretty much every day in the shop.
Yeah, right. You know, and I, you know, lived in LA for a little bit. I worked at a few studios, and one of the studios I worked at briefly was Rob Bottin's. who did The Thing and you know, those crazy movies, The Howling and stuff. And he was a huge Dick Smith fan. You know, and he wanted to hire me because I worked, you know, I was in touch with Dick Smith. And he had such an admiration for Dick Smith.
Wanted to get those secrets for himself.
Right. I mean, I think that, you know, Rob was hugely influenced too, as well as Rick Baker was. And, you know, so many people along the path.
Not to mention all the directors too that are making films now, like J.J. Abrams and Guillermo del Toro. And
right. Guillermo del Toro was a makeup effects guy, you know, that, you know, he says he wasn't as good as he could have been, but he was so into it. And Dick's, you know, said, "Oh, you got to see that young kid's drawings," and you know, like
because he was the one that actually would respond to somebody's fan mail. You know, so all these guys were writing people in the industry and not getting a response.
Right.
He was the guy that called you back and made that available.
I mean, I hate to say that probably now with social media, that's gone by the wayside. I can't imagine, you know, there's stalkers today doing things.
Certainly a figure as strong as Dick Smith.
When was the last time you wrote a letter? To anybody?
I don't even remember how to write anymore.
Ever.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, my handwriting is so poor now that, you know, I can't even read it myself.
Classic.
Well, you guys are very blessed to work with him, and I hope we get to see some of your demonstrations at some point as to, you know, things you've learned from Dick and all
every day. Yeah. I mean, I think what we're doing now with silicone pieces and working with translucent materials and painting in a very thin translucent way. I mean, I think it's really the evolution of what Dick would have done had he, you know, been still working, and I think we're doing that now, you know, and we're kind of pushing where things can go and where
pushing the boundaries of stuff. That's great. That's what needs to happen. That's how we grow and make bigger and better things.
Right.
You know?
So I mean,
now you guys,
I still think he's alive in that sense.
Speaking of pushing and growing, you're now doing something new with your company, right? That's prosthetic purchases for the general public.
Right. You know, I think we came to the decision just because, you know, we wanted to, you know, sculpt some weird things that no film ever wanted to request. So, you know, I think we just started having fun and are actually going about it in the same sense that we would a film, but doing it and making it available to the public. So a lot of the characters and a lot of the injuries and things like that we have made just out of fun, and we're actually making them available on our website, and you can purchase
you'll have a
them.
catalog, so we can, let's say I'm doing a film and I need some cuts or some scrapes or whatever, I can go online, pick them out, and order them.
Right, everything. There's bullet holes and exit wounds.
That's
and,
wonderful.
And hopefully young people learning makeup can use them and you know, get experience gluing stuff on with them, and not just professionals, but young people learning too. Right,
so they're made the same way as we would a film. So every pore is sculpted, every detail every edge is really perfect, you know, so as good as we can get it. So.
And what materials are you making them out of?
They're encapsulated silicone.
All of them? Yeah,
all of them are, and you have to check them out. And they're on our website. It's ProRenFX.com/series. So they're available now, and you can
tell
click.
us one more time. What's the website?
ProRenFX, ProRenFX.com/series.
Okay.
Series.
More coming soon.
Yeah.
That's
so we're
great.
you know, going to be constantly updating that, you know, our spare time and in between films. So you know, you can check it out.
Amazing. I'll definitely check it out. That's one thing I don't, you know, when I'm off doing a film, I don't have time to sculpt, so I like to buy pre-made things. So
we have, you know, brow covers and a lot of things that
brow covers,
are you know, used a lot. You know, brow
yeah.
covers and bullets and scratches and injuries, things that keep repeating themselves, and broken noses and things like. How many broken noses could you possibly make? You know, we have like 10 of them already. You know, so
awesome.
So they're there. So.
Well, tell me a little bit about your favorite films that you've ever worked on. Do you have favorites? Everybody's got to have a favorite, right?
The most enjoyable film I actually worked on for me, the experience of making it, which doesn't always relate to how it comes out, was Lost River, which is coming out tomorrow, actually.
Right.
And,
this is the Ryan Gosling directed film, right?
Yeah.
Right. Ryan directed that, his first debut directing,
and we love Ryan Gosling.
He's great. He's a great actor. He's just an overall great guy.
Hey, girl.
Very creative.
Does he say that for real? Hey, girl.
Well, not to me, but maybe to some other people. But
He can say it to me if he wants.
It was just a
Sure.
very small film, and it felt very personal. And we were actually, everyone in the movie was able to contribute something creatively that you don't always get to do on a large, huge budget movie. So the experience was really fun. I haven't seen it yet.
It was great. We filmed in Detroit, and a lot of locations that were like a ghost town. There was nobody
Yeah.
there, and a lot of
Yeah.
buildings were empty.
I've shot in Detroit. I know what you
Right,
mean.
it's crazy,
yeah.
and he asked me, he said, well, what's like the craziest thing you've ever wanted to do? So obviously I have a lot of crazy things I always want to do, so I wrote something and it was really way too crazy. So I said, well, how about we just peel the face off of someone, or something, so there's a lot of really interesting, strange
Wow.
effects in the film.
We peeled Christina Hendricks' face off.
Yeah, right. We peeled
Did
her
you
face off,
really?
and there's another character in it. His name is Face, and he, in the film, someone cuts his lips off, and he's still there.
And so Ryan
speaking,
actually had you write some of this stuff.
I think he had something in mind, and then we kind of collaborated on, what it was going to be, and I've worked with him a few times, and we became friendly, and he trusted that we were going to be able to do something really unique and strange, and he's strange too. So I mean, it's a good match.
And we have a common friend, Leo Wan, who
Leo
is
Wan.
Ryan Gosling's
Amazing.
personal makeup artist as
Right.
well as a straight makeup department head for that.
Right, he was amazing. He's great to work with. We've worked with Leo Wan so many times.
Also, one of the reasons that movie was so fun.
Right, right. He could have been in the film. He's so
Right.
entertaining.
He
But-
is amazing. He's a great guy.
He's great.
I met him here at IMATS, actually.
Oh, wow.
At the New York IMATS. Yep, yep.
No, I think he's elusive though. He slips in and out and just kind of floats
feel like
around.
he's
He's
here.
wily.
He knows everybody. And so
The
but that
makeup
fun.
was really interesting that we did actually this cut off lip makeup.
Without giving away too much, can you tell us?
Yeah.
We pretty much gave it away, but yeah, well, you could talk about it if you want.
Mike had this idea to, instead of place the actor's lips inside the teeth and make a mask around his face, basically, to do this very bizarre dental contraption, which we had to invent, to actually push his lips up to restrict his lips, and then have the appliance go over that so that his lips would move independently of his teeth. So it's very complicated.
It was like a Lon Chaney makeup.
Very
There's
much so,
like
yeah.
Dentures and hooks and wires and things stretching and
my
pulling
word.
his teeth apart, and then
Yeah.
appliances that go over it, so he could fully function without lips.
And who was this actor?
His name is Tori Wigfeld.
And tell, for the general public that doesn't understand what it's like for actors to have to wear stuff like that, how cooperative are they? How do you practice that with them? It hinders their talking sometimes, and actors don't like that, of course.
Right. I feel like we've been lucky. I think a lot of the actors have been very cooperative.
At how patient and professional most people are. There's so many horror stories about celebrities being out of control, and Ben Stiller sits down in the chair and doesn't say anything for 3 hours until we're done.
Really?
Or more.
Yeah.
He's wants you to do the best job that you can, and
Right.
is patient, and it's all about you at that moment. For him anyway. And I think a lot of people react differently. And on that film, Tori was probably in the most uncomfortable makeup I could think of.
Well, wires and stuff pulling his
Wires,
lips
his
back. That's
thumbs
Elastics and
really
yeah,
couldn't
it was
eat
intense.
well and all that, but he was so cooperative, and he did a great job, and
Did he have to keep that on the whole time?
keep it on the whole time.
Hours.
Yeah,
There was
keep
one
it on
time
all
he
time.
was in it like 14 hours, and we actually had to go to the AD and be like,
Right, time to
Yeah.
stop. We could take the teeth out and things like that, so we could be a
Yeah.
little bit more comfortable. But he didn't want to. He wanted to stay in character. and,
Interesting.
you
So-
know, he couldn't use his lips, so he couldn't eat. He had to do the smoothie thing. And
Wow.
it was crazy.
And Ben Stiller, has worn so many makeups, and in Walter Mitty, he wore all these old age makeups for a long time, and he directed at the same time. So when people complain about wearing a lot of prosthetics, please talk to Ben Stiller and learn patience,
Right.
about how to do this, or talk to any of the other actors that we've worked with, because they've been tortured more than you.
Or also,
so.
if you feel like you're an actor that is not going to like being in prosthetics for 16 hours a day, then probably don't take that role.
Right. It's all mental.
Yeah. Oh,
really.
yeah.
You know, it's patience. It's a
Yeah.
state of mind you're in. Some people say it's a meditative state they get in, and they are able to focus more because they kind of step outside themselves for a little bit. You know,
Yeah.
so they become more associated with their character. So.
Well, I think we have to wrap it up, but tell me before we go, what are you guys doing at IMATS besides chatting with me? How lucky am I? Are you doing a demonstration? What are you guys doing for us this weekend?
Yeah, we're doing a very bizarre demo of I don't know what you'd call it.
It's some kind of twisted faced person. So.
But essentially, it's a silicone makeup that is very representative of what we do in films, and we're going to explain our process. Try to speed it up a little bit from what we usually do on set, but in detail, we're going to describe how we do a makeup for a film.
Right, and it's strange. It's a little Dick Smith, a little Rob Bottin style. So.
And how do you guys
It's
like
fun.
to paint your silicone? Everybody's got a little different method here or there, but
You know, it varies. I mean, sometimes we tint the piece from the inside,
Yeah.
depending on if there's a special color or something. We intrinsically tint our silicone.
Bill Corso I just saw his pieces from what was the movie he just was nominated for this year?
Foxcatcher?
Foxcatcher.
Right,
And
right.
his pieces were tinted intrinsically with like a
Right.
bubblegum color.
Right,
That's
right.
wonderful. Why didn't I think of that?
Right. You know, Bill is an amazing artist. I mean,
Yes, he is.
he's got his, you know, his technique, you know, and all his way, you know, and everybody has a different
Everybody
way.
paints a
you
different
know.
way. Yeah.
So we
That's
like.
what's cool about it.
Right.
It's right.
It's like being an oil painter or something, you know. It's like everybody has like their way, you know. But what matters is how it looks in the end. You know, is it readable? Is it
Yes,
able to,
yeah.
you know, get across the information you're trying to get out there, you know? So
And we're going to get to witness you guys painting.
it's gonna be
Yes.
fun.
Lucky us.
Stick around.
Thank you so
Very
much
cool.
for
Thank you.
joining us,
Thank
guys.
you so much. We're fans of yours too. So.
Oh dear, thank you. Likewise.
All right. Well, take care.
We'll see you back in just a little bit, guys. Don't
All right.
go away.